In this video we will look at how to conduct a field survey to collect the necessary data for modelling fire behaviour in frame. You can use a lot of different ways of collecting data for frame. The main thing you need is something that gives you average plant dimensions or a diversity of plant dimensions that you can take an average from, and also some measure of spatial relationships. The best way that I find to do this is to use what I call a three-dimensional transect. That involves, first of all, placing a horizontal transect using a 50-metre measuring tape, and then measuring vertical transects at regular points along that line. You'll need to initially plan out ways of randomizing the location of those horizontal transects, and also predetermine a regular spacing where you'll take the vertical transects. I tend to take these at about 5-metre intervals along a 50-metre transect. One of the most useful items that you can use for the field survey is a telescopic measuring pole. You can get these that extend 6 to 8 metres sometimes. They can be fiberglass or aluminium and give you a readout at the bottom. I do suggest having a second person on hand who can tell you whether the top of the pole is level with the point you're trying to measure. For taller plants such as trees, you'll need something along the lines of a laser ranger that will give you accurate measurements, but again, it's much easier to have a second person who can stand back, because the further you are from the tree, the more accurate the measurement will be. Another very useful tool is a GRS densitometer. What this does is allows you to look directly upward through crosshairs, and it gives you spirit levels to determine that you are exactly beneath a point such as the edge of a tree. To conduct the actual survey, start by running out the measuring tape. I usually use a 50-metre length. Frame can describe plant crowns as either rectangles or hexagons. We have a crown width parameter, which is the width at the widest point, and that can be along either axis or the average of both axes. The base height is the height of the foliage at the trunk, and the top height is the height of the foliage again at the trunk at the highest point. Now, these don't necessarily have to be measured from the lowest or highest leaves. They are simply where the foliage mainly starts and ends. In addition, you can see from the diagram that it's possible to improve the shape of the canopy from a rectangle to a hexagon by measuring HE, or the height of the lower edge of the hexagon, and HT, the height of the upper edge of the hexagon. Our goal then in a survey is at each point along the transect, we want to measure every species that is intercepted in a vertical line above the point. We want to record the name of the species and the dimensions of the plant canopy for that plant. If you're working by yourself, it's important to stand back to get a clearer view of upper height measurements to make sure that you are reaching the top of the plant. When measuring crown widths, the critical issue is that you stay consistent with the way you measure. Either measure directly in line with the tape, or measure across the crown opposite to the tape direction. Make sure that you are under the edges of the plant crown, and with taller trees you may need to use the densitometer for this.